I think plenty of us will be aware of the successful spaceflight, or to the edge of space, by Richard Branson of Virgin Galactic. So given it went so well, just why has the stock price pretty much halved since then? I thought it'd be interesting to do an update on Virgin Galactic. We saw the stock as low as $16, slightly less, just a couple of months ago, soared up to 60. Then we've had that successful spaceflight, July 11th. But we've seen the stock crumble, traded down yesterday, briefly below $28, a long way from the $60 highs just at the end of June. So I thought in this video I'd talk a bit about what's been going on, why it's perhaps not too much of a surprise the stock has sold off after the successful space flight. Then we'll come back, look at the charts in a bit more detail and see if actually this sell-off, this halving in the price could well end up being a longer-term opportunity for investors. Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and I thought we'd do an update on Virgin Galactic. I think a lot has happened since our last update, both with the company and, of course, with the stock price. Lots of volatility and a big slide from where it was just a couple of weeks ago. So as usual in this video, I'll talk about some of the recent news, fairly obvious piece of news, I think. Then we'll take a look at the levels to watch and jump back on the platform and have a look at the charts in a bit more detail. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it does help support the channel and it means we can continue to push out lots of different content throughout the week on the different stocks that we look at. Right, let's get into it and take a look at Virgin Galactic in a bit more detail. So in case you're not sure what they do, Virgin Galactic is a spaceflight company founded back in 2004 by Richard Branson, of course, well known for all the other Virgin brands he's founded and set up over the decades. And it's there to develop commercial spaceflight. So although it was founded in 2004, it didn't come to the market until 2019. And in just the last couple of years, we've seen massive volatility for the stock price, ranging from as low as $7 to $60, which is almost where it got back to more recently. We did see the stock soar again in June as the company got FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, approval effectively to carry passengers into space. And clearly, as this is the company's business, getting FAA approval for that is something of a big deal. But the more recent big news, which again, I'm sure you're aware of, even if you don't follow the stock that closely, on 11th of July, Richard Branson, the founder of the company, completed a successful flight as a passenger into space and back down to Earth again. But what might have surprised some people is the stock has slid quite heavily since then. So why has the stock been hit so hard? Well, it was no surprise this flight was going ahead. And there's a great market saying, buy the rumor, sell the news. When the flight happened and was successful, lots of investors may have thought, well, what's going to be the next catalyst that drives the stock higher? So I don't think we should be too surprised that the stock's been hit so hard. When it comes to taking advantage of a space flight, if you've got the money, the company says that flights should be starting in 2022. It's already sold 600 tickets, and I think around $250,000 a ticket, something like that. But it's still going to be some time till the company is profitable. Clearly a lot of money has been invested so far. Apparently, the cost of the flight when the plane comes back down to Earth, it needs a new engine. So I think we have to wait a while to see some profits. But let's take a look at the levels to watch. Then we will jump back onto the chart and see what the technicals say. So for me, the most recent barrier on the upside, the most immediate one from the middle of July, comes in around $34.40. We've seen a fairly relentless slide since that test flight happened, but $34.40 for me is the first hurdle. Quite a bit of support coming in on the downside from $23.50 to about $28. But as usual, to put some color on these numbers, let's take a look at the chart. If you look at just the last 18 months or so for Virgin Galactic, plenty of volatility. If we go back, of course, to the March 2020 lows where everything was getting hit, the stock was as low as $9. And then in February of this year, I think as part of the Reddit Wall Street Bets meme stocks, traded up near 63, back down again in May to below 14, and then almost back up to those all-time highs in June of this year. And then we've had the sell-off. Let's just take a look at that July the 11th. What's happened since then? So this was the day after the flight. The flight took place on a Sunday. The stock did gap higher the next day, but that's the highest it's been since that flight. And you can see has sold off fairly relentlessly since then. So touched almost $55 the day after the flight, and then did halve into the 19th of July. But I do wonder if this ends up being opportunity. This is classic buy the rumor, although it wasn't really a rumor, but sell the news, thinking, well, the major event has happened. What's going to drive the stock higher in the short term? Probably not much. And I think that's why we've seen so much selling. But let's go back to the daily chart. So if we put a moving average on, 20-day moving average, this has done not a bad job in calling the turning points for Virgin Galactic. If we go back to beginning of the year, January, price moves above the moving average, we get a big run up. Then price falls below in Feb, and of course we continued a slide all the way into May, and the stock was pretty much below that 20-day moving average all the way down. Then the buy signal, the last buy signal, May the 20th, as the price moves up through 20, and of course goes on to triple from there. And the latest sell signal was on the 12th of July, that day after the test flight, as the price falls below the moving average, and this is where we are now. And I think if we were waiting for the price to cross up through that moving average is currently sitting just below $43. Looking at the RSI down here, this is one of the drawbacks, as I often say, in strong trending markets, an RSI can move to an extreme, but the market carries on going. And we definitely had that from May in the Virgin Galactic stock. The RSI stayed overbought all the way into the end of June. But of course, the price kept going up. At the moment, we're not getting much from the RSI. It's sitting around 40%. If the stock slid a bit lower from where we're trading now, we could see that RSI pushed into oversold, and perhaps some would see that as a suggestion that the price has slid a bit too far. So that's something I think worth keeping an eye on. But I suppose otherwise we're going to have to look at the price action. And if we take a look at this, since September last year, the sort of $14 area has been good support for the stock. It hasn't spent too long down here, but saying that, it's still a long way away from where the stock's trading now, just below $33. But if it got hit hard back towards those May lows, I think it'd definitely be interesting to take a look to see if once again do we see the buyers come back in. Perhaps in the short term we need to flip it over to an intraday chart. Let's have a look at the hourly candlesticks. So what can we take from the short-term chart? Well, I think from a trend following point of view, considering it was only yesterday that the market or the stock made new lows for this trend, I think many technical analysts would consider that trend still down, even though it has bounced back by almost 20% off those lows in fairly short order. So it is interesting to watch down here, but it was only yesterday we saw a low for the move. So being a bit more patient perhaps wouldn't be a bad thing here. I think perhaps the $35 area will be one to watch. If we saw strength through there, we could see some short-term momentum buyers come back in. It is interesting. That recent low we've seen is interesting from a short-term point of view, because we can see back here on the 24th of May, there was a bit of resistance on the way up, which turned into support in early June. So 27.50 is an interesting level to watch for the stock. Perhaps a more aggressive short-term trader may want to be a buyer and see if that levels holds. Personally, I take a step back and look at the bigger picture and think, okay, we've seen a strong move over the last 24 hours, but it's still down about 50% from where it was just over a week ago. It is a volatile stock. I think watching it to see if it continues to hold above $27.50 makes it an interesting one over the next couple of days. But I don't think, famous last words, without any immediate catalysts, we're going to see the sort of swings that we have seen so far this year. But we'll come back to it in the weeks ahead and see if we do end up forming some sort of base here above $27.50. That's it for this update on Virgin Galactic. We'll see how they fare over the next few weeks. I'm not expecting the same sort of moves that we've seen before because I don't think there's a catalyst, but it's still a really interesting stock to watch for now. So for me, David Jones and Capital.com, we'll leave things there. Good luck with your investing. For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.